You ever wonder what that one thing is that really separates the highest performers from everybody else? It's not just about working longer or even being more talented. Nope. It's a certain mindset, a habit that, honestly, anyone can develop. And in this explainer, we're going to break that habit down and show you exactly how you can build it for yourself. So, here's the game plan. We're going to start with the core idea, what we're calling the action habit. Then, we'll get into the magic of flow, that incredible state of peak productivity. After that, we'll talk about how to build unstoppable momentum. And finally, we'll wrap up with a new mantra that's so simple you can start using it today. All right, let's start by looking at two totally different ways to approach a workday. For a lot of people, the day is just, well, it's a whirlwind of socializing, distractions, and stuff that doesn't really move the needle. But high performers? They play a different game. They actually take the time to think and plan. They figure out what's most important. And then, and this is the real secret, they launch into action fast. That's how they seem to power through just enormous amounts of work. So that brings us right to our first big idea, the action habit. This really is the defining quality we're talking about. When you look at these top performers, the most obvious thing you'll notice is what's called an action orientation. They're not just busy for the sake of being busy. They had this internal drive, this hurry to get their key tasks done and dusted. This bias for action is basically the engine that drives their incredible productivity. So, what happens when you take that action habit and you point it directly at your most important work? Well, you unlock something truly amazing, which brings us to section 2, the magic of flow. No, really, think about this for a second. What happens inside your brain when you're not just working, but you are working with this intense, continuous focus on something that actually matters? You get into a state called flow. You've probably felt it before. It's considered the highest human state of performance. I mean, some studies suggest you can be up to 500% more productive. It's that magical feeling where time just seems to melt away and everything you're doing just clicks. It feels totally effortless, but your work is sharp, accurate, and creative. The most successful people, they find a way to live in this state a lot more often than the rest of us. And this is what flow actually feels like. It's not stressful or frantic at all. It's this beautiful state of energized focus. You feel elated and clear-headed, happy, and weirdly calm, all because you are in complete control. You're basically operating on a higher level, where your creativity and your skills are just firing on all cylinders. Okay, so flow sounds incredible, right? But is it something that just happens by accident, like lightning striking? Nope, not at all. You can actually trigger it, and that brings us to our third section, building unstoppable momentum. The trigger, the secret key to unlocking flow, is developing a sense of urgency. Now, hold on. This isn't about panicked, anxious stress, not at all. It's an inner drive, this healthy impatience that makes you want to get going and keep going. The best way to think of it is like you're in a fun little race against yourself. This sense of urgency totally changes how you see your work. It creates that bias for action we talked about earlier. So instead of just talking about your big plans or thinking about them, you immediately shift your focus to the small, specific steps you can take right now to get moving. And when you consistently start taking that immediate action, you activate this really powerful force in productivity. It's called the momentum principle of success. Just think about it like basic physics, right? Overcoming inertia, that initial push to get a big project started, that takes a huge amount of mental energy. It is almost always the hardest part. But once you're in motion, well, it takes way, way less energy to just keep going. Action literally creates its own momentum. And that momentum kicks off this amazing positive feedback loop. It's kind of wild. The faster you move, the more energy you actually have. The more you get done, the better and more effective you feel. The more you learn along the way, the more competent you become. See how that works? Each action just fuels the next one, making you better and better. So all of this leads us to our final and maybe most practical section. How do you actually kickstart all this momentum, like every single day? Let's talk about your new mantra. Now. Okay. So here it is, a tool you can use the second this is over. It is an incredibly simple but shockingly powerful psychological trick to bust through that inertia we were just talking about. The mantra couldn't be simpler. When you're looking at an important task and you feel that little bit of hesitation creeping in, just start repeating to yourself over and over, do it now, do it now, do it now. It's like a direct command to your brain. It completely short circuits procrastination and tells your brain, hey, stop thinking, start doing. You would be amazed at how well this works. But okay, what about once you've started? What happens when you feel your focus start to drift? Your mouse starts creeping over to that social media tab or a junk email. Well, there's a tool for that too. Your course correction mantra is this one: back to work, back to work, back to work. Just say it to yourself. It's like a switch that shuts down the distraction and immediately snaps your focus back to what's actually important. It's your personal little refocusing tool. And when you consistently use these little tools to build a real sense of urgency, the rewards they're huge. You develop higher self-esteem and self-respect because you're proving to yourself that you're someone who follows through. You get this incredible feeling of being in complete control of your life. And professionally, you start to build an absolutely unstoppable reputation. Because in the end, that's what it all comes down to, right? Your reputation. And let me tell you, nothing will help you more in your career than building a reputation for being the person who gets important things done and gets them done quickly and well. That is the ultimate career advantage. Which leaves us with one final simple question. As you finish up here, I want you to look at your own to-do list, think about your own goals, and just ask yourself, what is the one task you are going to